My name is Josh Terlecki, and I'm in the nursery here in Youngstown, Ohio. And now you are also in the nursery. We're being nursed. It's all about being nursed in the nursery. I come back to Youngstown to get my nursing.
It's our new catchphrase. Hi, this is Lee Boyle, and we're on the midnight shift, and you're being nursed.
You're being nursed. Absolutely.
The nursery and all of the trees cross over the dark, and some old parking lots hold my whimpering thoughts, and I'm on the next train. You and me, can't you see what this means? In the light of a torch, realize nothing is forced, nothing is forced. Hi guys, welcome to Nursery, a podcast from Ohio's creative voice. I'm going to try to fit this all in real quick. We are sponsored today by the usual founding sponsors, which is the Orange Avocado, raw, vegan, gluten-free desserts. Check them out on Facebook. And then we're also sponsored by Speaking of Music. It's a really cool podcast you can find on YouTube where they talk about the music of yesterday. Today we got a new sponsor, the Soap Gallery. Go check them out, 117 Champion Street, Youngstown, Ohio. Find them, Soap Gallery Yo, Twitter handle. Find them on Facebook. Just search the Soap Gallery in Youngstown, Ohio. You got to go check them out. There's so many good artists, to name a few: Sarah, Oliver, Eric Allman. If you haven't heard of them, you don't know what's cool yet, because they're really good. Anyhow, I'm here today, speaking of, with the guy from Soap Gallery. If you go back to the episode, Galleries and Mills, Stephen Poullas. How you doing, Stephen?
I'm doing wonderful. Speaking of Eric Allman, so I had a little cold. Mm-hmm. We just had our opening on Friday, which was 3 days ago. Mm-hmm. Right? Is that 3 days ago? And yeah. I took some cold medicine yesterday. Mm-hmm. And then had a beer. And I had an 8-minute phone conversation with Eric Allman. And I don't remember any of it. I just looked on my phone and saw it. So
that's a wild. So are you saying because you were just that tired and that sick?
Mm-hmm. I don't remember anything we talked about at all.
That's pretty wild, because like usually the stories I've had like that from when I was like younger, they're usually from when I was really young. Like they're from like I was 15 and I went on a walk and didn't remember, because I had a fever, not a cold. So you must be overworking yourself based on the Soap Gallery.
Nah.
But we won't talk too much about that, because the point of this podcast is to expand outside of the realm. We spent a lot of time pushing Ohio, pushing Youngstown. Not that we don't always in every episode of Nursery, but we pushed Soap hard last time, and I'm going to list them as a sponsor here and there, but we want to get outside and get into an idea that Stephen himself had listeners about, listing the things that we like, but more importantly, things that we like so much that they consume us, correct?
Yes, correct.
So I want to start us with something, food.
Okay.
That's what came to mind when you sent me a text message about this. I said, I could talk music, I could do whatever, but food, I can put, as much as it doesn't seem like it, I can put down things that I create. I can put down music. I can put down podcasting. I do it a lot. It looks like I'm obsessive, but I can put it down and put it out of my head and feel satisfied and not think of ways to tweak it. I can be, I can put it out of my head if I want to.
Right.
Food, no. I can't put it down. I have the best metabolism anyone could ever hope for. That's why I look like this. But it's an early grave for me, man. I mean, I hate to be so dark, but this cholesterol, I'm sure. I mean, it's just like salty things are my weakness.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Not that every American doesn't think that way, but I mean, I don't know. Food is my answer to you when I first think off the top of my head. What do you have to say about that? Are you in that camp at all, or you have control?
Yeah, I wouldn't consider myself a foodie.
Yeah.
And my breakfast every morning is coffee, and that's it. I don't really eat breakfast very often. But I love really well-made food. It bugs the hell out of me to go to an Olive Garden or an Applebee's even. I want something that's created with love, that's not just like frozen and reheated. Mm-hmm. That bugs the shit out of me, is it having to eat cardboard.
That might save your life because maybe you're eating at least, if not healthy, fresh.
Well,
right?
maybe, but I'm like you. I really have a salt obsession, and I get the real coarse grains, and I pour it all over everything. Everything. So my blood pressure is kind of high. Plus, only having coffee for breakfast helps too.
Have you kicked? Were you an energy drink person?
I was for a little bit, and I didn't like how it was making me feel.
Yeah.
So I just switched to coffee, and I'll have maybe 1 or 2 cups at most a day, and that's it.
Seems like that's a pattern in human beings. Like you kind of switch to like a lesser evil sometimes.
Exactly.
Because I did that too. I did every Thursday working at a pizza place for almost a decade. I would pull the 20-ounce like energy drink.
Right.
Red Bull type thing.
Yeah.
And that's not cool. You feel your blood pressure go up. You can feel it without ever taking it. Like, you feel your blood boil from drinking one of those.
Exactly. I used to actually take an energy drink before I would go to the gym. It was like the most counterproductive thing in the world.
The minute you start moving, like the first 2 steps you take on the elliptical or whatever
exactly,
you do.
the elliptical is what I would do. And I'd be going my heart rate would be at 180.
You'd probably start shaking the minute you took a couple steps, because that's like exactly what you don't need an energy drink to do.
Yep, exactly. So I'm glad I kicked that habit, but just coffee now. But as far as food goes, man, I love coming home and frying up some vegetables, throwing in some pasta, and you don't even need meat. There's a Greek spice that I use called Cavendars. You can get it at Goussain's, and we put it on almost everything. It is so good.
What's that? Is that similar to something like cumin or something? Does it have a taste like that?
It's a big blend of like Greek spices.
Greek spice,
peppers and salt, and I don't know what else is in it, but it's fantastic.
I only have a couple saving graces as far as my health goes with food, and that's that I like Indian food, and apparently scientists have found that might help your memory as you get older, like
really?
With like stuff that's like cumin based, like stuff that has what's all in it? Indian food. I can't think of the word. The yellow stuff, curry type stuff. So apparently that holds off on Alzheimer's or something. Apparently that's a new theory.
So would that be your favorite regional type of food?
Yeah, Indian is probably my favorite, but to be super honest, this is not a sequential podcast, but the first episode I did is called Trapper Keepers and Nursing with my wife Ellen, and that was at the beginning of 2015, and I had a resolution where I wasn't eating donuts or cheeseburgers or fries. We both kind of held it together, and then one day my boss bought me lunch. He was like, "I bought you lunch," and it was there, and it was like a fries and burger thing, and I didn't want to be rude. And then that sent me, I'm not going to blame him, it's my bad, but like that sent me back, so I didn't keep my resolution. So I have to admit to listeners, I said that on that podcast, and it's gone. It held up till June or something, and it's gone.
You've lost all credibility.
Yeah, I've lost it.
Just turn off the podcast now.
You know what, guys? Yeah, you can't trust me anymore. And but most importantly, though, I'm a somewhat consistent person, and breaking that promise to myself felt good.
Really?
Yeah. I'm not saying that I'm this. My word is oak, and I'm this perfectly reliable person all the time. I make mistakes like anybody, but something else that kind of I'm segueing into one of my things on my list of things I like that consumes me is consistency.
Yeah.
I'm not scared of change. I like change, but I always have to take something with me into the next thing. Like there's everything you see that I've done in my life all has a connection back to something. Like you see this podcast has everything to do with the band. All our comedy skits have everything to do with this. You know, it's all very connected for me. And I can't, and like, I think like consistency kind of like turns me on in a way, and like just like what like lights my eyes up and makes me look at things, because there's too many times where people are like, yeah, you know, we'll do that, whatever, and like, you know, like I can't say I didn't think that when you're talking about the gallery, but you did it, and I like that. You know, like I like seeing anything to come to fruition. It could be something as interesting as soap, or something as boring as I'm gonna get a new pair of shoes today. I just like seeing the thing happen that the person says is gonna happen.
So
And,
we'll jump back into food.
Yeah, we'll come
in
back.
a little bit. But so what? And I apologize because this podcast is probably going to be as much me interviewing you as you interviewing me.
Please.
But what is something that has jumped you out of that streak?
Consistency.
Other than the cheeseburger.
Other than the cheeseburger, I mean, that's why I named that, is because there's not many things, and maybe that makes me a stick in the mud. But something that has just kind of, you're saying, kind of put the brakes on that, it's just like shown me that life's not like that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, definitely like little things. I don't really think of myself as someone who just got totally disillusioned, but deaths do that. Like, you don't think someone broke a promise when they say they were going to be there if they die. but and I never thought that, but deaths do that. Like when my grandma passed away October 2013, I believe. I might have that wrong, but October, a year or two ago. And that puts the brakes on. I didn't even know her that well,
right. But
the consistency inconsistency of someone just being around rocked my world. For some reason, I use that term. And then, but more so, I had a conversation with her right before she passed that I never had before. She was one of those grandmas that didn't really talk. She was one of those that just commented on your life real quick and was done.
Yeah.
And it sounded brutal, but it was just because she was able to be honest at her age.
She was blunt at that point.
Yeah, she'd see me and be like, "Hey, you
need to shave."
She was like, "You gained weight," and it wasn't like you look bad. It was like I'm commenting on
just
your
observation.
Yeah. And so, she was like, "You need to put down the food." No, I'm just kidding.
Put down the cheeseburger.
Yeah. She was like, "You've been eating cheeseburger," but from her era, that again, it was almost leaning more towards a compliment than an insult, because she came from an era where it was like, "You're well fed, good for you." It wasn't about like, go on a diet, go on the Atkins, or she didn't have that in her head.
Yeah.
So
what kind of conversation did you have?
This was great. Me and my brother Jack went and visited her, and she said she just talked to us like a person she never had before. She was just like, "Hi." She was like, "I don't like the breakfast here," at the place she was in.
Yeah.
And she was like, "What do you guys think of Obama?" And we were like, "I don't know. I like him." And she was like, "I really like what he's been doing. He's a really good president." And we were like, "I've never heard you say anything like that before." And listeners, don't get political on me. I'm just saying she never commented on like anything like that in front of me before. So it was like she just gave me a couple small opinions on, "I don't like this food, I like this politician, I like that." She just gave me likes and dislikes.
Yeah.
She's never done that before. She's very Irish and like
blunt,
Irish goodbyes and things like that.
Yeah.
Never hurt my feelings, but never was close. So actually, kind of like someone kind of being more honest and open was an inconsistency, but a good one. How about you? Go on.
Well, this will be my last question.
Yeah.
And on that vein, do you think? How do you think she impacted you
overall?
Yeah.
I mean, I eat a lot of fast food, and she does too. And I think I come from kind of that Midwest like mentality where they're like, "Yeah, eat it up now." And Great Depression happened, so eat what you can eat. And my generation just took that way too far and doesn't know where to stop.
Yeah.
Whereas she was more like, eat because you can now.
Yeah.
And so she impacted me in a way that where like, she made me very down home no matter where I go and no matter what cities I go to on tour. As much as I want to be a Youngstonian, I'm a Colombianian, East Palestinian. She made me very Midwest, and maybe that's not a very good thing, but in some ways it is. She made me very like, when someone brings a pie over to our house or says, "How's your family doing?" or "I heard your grandma passed," and this and that, I don't think that they're being nosy. I like that. So she made me Midwest in a good and bad way.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
But what has just backing the whole thing up, what consumes you?
I'm consumed by juggling as many things as possible in the air and as many balls as possible at once. I'm not ADD, but I really like doing a bunch of things at once. So, I'm going for my master's degree right now at Case, Western Reserve, and I'm opening a business, and I'm having a full-time job, and I have 2 kids and a wife, and I have a lot of things in the air, and I love it. I hate being bored. I hate being that feeling of not being productive is the worst feeling in the world for me. So a lot of people are like, oh my God, how are you doing all this at once? And they're like, are you sleeping at all or anything like that? And no, it's not a big thing for me. It's fun for me. So that's what's consuming me right now is juggling all this stuff. But I'm really, really consumed with connections and friendships with people, and deep things that are not, the shallow, hey, how are you, what's going on, blah, 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 but getting to know someone, that's been my passion since I was a kid, and I want to continue that. So it's a matter of sometimes, okay, set down some of those balls, and sit down and get to know someone and establish a true connection with them, and that's what I love.
Well, that's cool. And obviously, a lot of the stuff you're saying has to do with putting down roots in certain ways, but it also has to do with being very adventurous at the same time. Do you ever get anybody judging you and telling you you're not worldly enough because you're doing this stuff in Ohio? Or do people look at you as an adventurer?
So I had some of my classmates come down for the gallery opening, and they came from Cleveland, and they're like, you're a cowboy, you're a pioneer. I can't believe you're doing this in Youngstown. And we came to Youngstown, didn't get shot. I'm like, okay. All right.
Well, yeah, that happens.
Yeah, there's generalities there. But these are really, really successful people that are, vice presidents of companies and things. And I'm just a lowly guy that had a dream to do something and did it. And so I don't get a whole lot of flack for being in Ohio or doing it in Ohio. I do get some flack for really? Youngstown?
Okay, so that's a little bit of a different story. They're not calling you boring. They're just like, that's your choice. Like that kind of
exactly. Exactly.
Interesting.
And art really hasn't been a business model in Youngstown for decades. So, I am kind of trailblazing a little bit. I gotta find out, how do I get people to buy art? So there's a little bit of that, but not a whole lot. Getting back to the grandparents thing.
Yes. Yeah.
My grandmother on my dad's side was really Greek.
Okay.
My grandfather's still alive, Stavros, which is what I was supposed to be named.
Oh.
They were really pissed off when they came to the hospital and realized I wasn't Stavros and I was Steven. But my grandmother had cancer a few times, and the last time we flew down to Florida, she was getting released from a rehab facility. And it was my mom and I. We took a trip because we were going to help my grandfather because they lived alone together. And got there, hugged her, everything. And then the next day she was getting released. So we got her released. We got her back home. I made her dinner. My mom and I, we hugged her. I said, we'll see you tomorrow. We went to the hotel. And then my grandfather called me and said, your grandmother, she's stubborn. She won't wake up to take her pills. And I'm trying to wake her up. I can't wake her up. It's very Greek, sorry. And
no, that's good. I like that.
And so my mom and I realized what happened. She was gone. So we got to the house, and my mom's a nurse and checked it. Yeah, she's gone. And
wow.
And it was kind of a really weird timing because we were down there. We anticipated just helping, and it was her way of going when she needed to go. And
when was this?
So this was, I think this was 3 years ago.
3 years ago. Okay, so you totally were able to process. It wasn't like you were a kid or anything.
No,
obviously.
it was 3 years ago, and my grandfather's still living. He has a house up here. He goes back and forth all the time, and he's doing really well. But she impacted me because Greeks are very passionate. They're so passionate. Mm-hmm. They're very affectionate. Mm-hmm. And they're stubborn as hell. Mm-hmm. Worse than the Irish, I think. But she helped me to realize that it's okay to be affectionate. It's okay to wear your emotions on your sleeve. Sometimes more than you need to. But,
well, do you think her or your grandpa were like you, filling in every gap they had in their schedule with something else?
Yeah, my grandfather especially. She was a housewife for the most part. My grandfather was a foreman in the mill and then painted bridges and did all kind of stuff on the side. So yeah, he was always working, tinkering on something. He still is. In fact, he helped my brother split an entire cord of wood and he's 86 years old. He's
Is
just
he?
an old stubborn guy.
Wow.
But
well, I mean, you have people telling you at that age how much energy you have now and how much you're going to miss it. You just got to take their word for it and start running as fast as you can now, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I try it as far as whenever I catch myself saying, "Oh man, I have too much on my plate," I try to catch myself and be like, forget that. Do it now while you can. And,
I really think about like the years that I wasted that I didn't do that.
Yeah.
And it motivates me to be like, you know, you could have accomplished so much. And there's my problem again, that rut of needing to be productive all the time. Mm-hmm. But it's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I'd say you're right. I mean, I had a couple friends who were entertaining the idea of going and doing improv just for fun.
Yeah.
And they were like, we were going to do that. And I was like, oh, that sounds good. And I was like, doesn't that sound like something? They were like, you want to do it too? And I was like, nah. I was like, I mean, I'm already doing stuff like that in my life. And they were like, yeah, but you're always like fretting about when and where, and you have this and that booked and this and that. So why you talk about music, or if you do skits, or if you do podcasts? They're like, this isn't about like that kind of attitude. This is just doing it for no reason. You have to have things like that in your life. And I was like, yeah, you're right. I have to have things I do for like no reason in my life too.
Yeah.
So it was like, it's kind of weird. It was like, I don't know what those things are, but I haven't been bored since I was like 13. So I'm happy. Like, you know, like I always had something filling in the gaps like you do. And so, but it was interesting to think that like what they were kind of saying was that, yeah, it was a curse and a blessing at the same. They were saying like I'll book these shows to play music at, or book interviews for the podcast, and then the minute I have all ducks in a row, I'll be like, I want free time. You know what I mean? Like, so it is a blessing and curse. But I try to like kind of slap that away when I have that thought where I'm like, what would I be doing in my free time? The minute I'd have something open, I would fill it. I'd fill it. You know I would. Mm-hmm. I can't even sit down for 1 hour. Like if I sat down for 1 hour, like to do nothing, I'd be on my phone texting somebody, be like, you want to meet up to have a podcast interview? You know, like,
yeah.
And it's not because I swear it's not because I can't put it down. It's because I feel guilty if I'm not being constructive or productive.
There you go.
So I think you're on the right track. I mean, it sounds like you're working pretty hard. What else popped into your head when you thought of things that consumed you?
Well, other than obviously, you know, work and family, and we kind of delved into music a little bit. We probably should avoid that for this one.
Sure.
Artists out there. I had a job at the state. It was pretty laid back, but I had to be at my desk all the time. So I'd go on to Flickr and just look at pictures and like pictures and do things for hours and hours on end. And I think that helped me develop a good artistic eye to see what is good and what's crappy. And so that becomes very consuming for me is wanting to. My wife just ran a half marathon in Akron, and we had to go to all the galleries that out there because I needed to see what was out there. And so that is definitely consuming for me, is needing to see what's new, what's different, and then looking at what was old and what is still relevant. And artistically, that's consuming for me.
And on that note, you don't have to talk about this, but how does it affect your family, you being busy like this? And I'm sure they're busy too, obviously. But
well, I mean, we my wife and I have had some talks about, you know, kids in the future, and it's probably not going to happen for us anymore because we're so busy and and she's just as independent as I am.
And right now you have?
I have a 5-year-old that I have every other weekend on Wednesdays, and I have an 18-month-old baby girl named Gracie. So,
so you already got your hands full. It's not like you're saying.
I have 1.5. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
So, but yeah, and she loves running, and it's been a passion for her and everything. So
that's cool.
We just integrate each other's. I'll go to her races. She'll go to the art museum with me, and you know, we show interest in each other's lives, and I think that's important for a relationship.
That's pretty cool. I've gotten to a weird point now where I discourage, not all the time, but once in a while I discourage like friends and family and my wife from coming to shows because they've been to so many. And it's not because I don't want them there or anything, but I'm like, oh, please, I don't want you getting sick of like these same songs. I don't want you getting like too bogged down and knowing that you have to do this, because I I totally understand that you like the music, and that's just a bonus. You don't have to. But I totally understand that most of the people that are with me like it.
Really?
And so, yeah, but I tell them, this is only because so much of what you're talking about has happened already. So much support has been shown.
Okay.
But I'm just like, at this point, I know you're coming because you love me more than you love the music, because we have already done this. Like, so give yourself a few weeks and then come back later and stuff like that. And that's not because I don't want them there or anything, but I just try to give them a pass rather. And that's not, and again, it's not because like I don't want them there. It's not because they don't want to be there. I just try to say like, you'll get the next one. There's so many. And once in a while, me and the guys in third class have played a home show, and we're really happy with it, but we don't have the challenge of winning over the room. So we like going out of town and playing to an entire room of people we don't know, so that our game just gets stepped up. Sometimes you go out of town and you're 3 or 4 buddies from, say, Akron or Cleveland or even Chicago, wherever we go, will show, and they'll be at the front of the room and you'll be playing just to them, and you'll forget about the people you should be winning over. So sometimes it has to do with that.
Oh, so it becomes like a popularity thing in some ways.
Yeah. And it's not, and it's not because we're bored and we want it and we need a challenge. It's just because like the torch that they carry for us has been proven time and time again, and we don't want them to get bored and leave. So we tell them to to do it in moderation. You know, and again, we don't have that many fans. I'm just talking about like, family and friends.
Well,
and stuff.
and it's cool that you have that perspective, because a lot of people have the opposite perspective in that I need as many people here as possible.
Yeah.
So
it took me forever to get there. Don't get me wrong. What you're talking about, going to the running and going to the, you just opened an art gallery. Like, I'm just talking about being in the same band since 1999. That's only because it's been that many years. It's not something I came out of the gate with.
I mean, and that's part of society, is that we're consumed with the numbers. We're consumed with how many were there and how many this and how many that. And really, when you get bogged down in those metrics, you kind of lose what quality is, right? Because you're so consumed with how much is consumed rather than what is being produced.
Yeah.
And that can apply to anything and everything.
Yeah, and the important people are like, I just played to a room in Akron that didn't really care I was there, and one lady came up to me and was like, I can really respect your dreams, and put $1 in the guitar case. And I was like, that's who I played for. And that's fine. Like, they didn't hate me or anything. They were just like, just quiet and doing their thing. So that's the kind of room I kind of want, because I want the challenge of winning them over. Like, if I don't feel bad anymore. I don't care. Like, I'm like, I didn't do anything wrong. There's just certain shows that it doesn't work. It was one of the best sets I've ever played. One person probably, like maybe 3, 5 got it, and 9 didn't, And I was totally happy. I knew that even if 100 people were there, those numbers might have been the same. Like, 90 would have ignored it.
Yeah.
Then the last 10, 5 would have hated it, and 5 would have loved it and became fans. So
this is where art and music coincide.
Yeah.
Where they're very similar is that if you're not doing it because you're enjoying it, if you're doing it for others people's consumption, strictly, and you don't have any passion, personal passion, it's self-interest in it, then it becomes a chore and a task.
Yeah.
But I can tell just by the way you're telling me this story about you were very invested in what you were doing. It was, you enjoyed it.
Yeah, you know that whatever paintings you're hanging up, that gets to somebody. Right. It's going to go somewhere. And you know whatever lyrics you write, they're going to make it to somebody's ears and mean something. Yeah. You won't know what it means, but that's okay. You already have your own thing for that.
Well, so like an art example is, I don't know if you walked around and saw this, but we had some internal debate as to whether or not to show. We had basically lesbian art.
Okay. I did see it. Yeah, I saw everything. Everything you had on the wall was awesome. But go on.
But so there was some big debate about, like, do we show this? Because it's something that most people wouldn't show, especially in Youngstown. And I'm like, we decided to do it, and it's like almost gratuitous. It's but there's a reaction to it. And that's what I wanted. That's what good art should do. It should provoke some type of emotion in you.
Yeah.
Same thing with music. It should provoke some type of music, some emotion in you.
Even if it's, I mean, you don't want to hurt anybody, but even if it's a negative reaction, better than none at all, correct?
In some cases, I'd welcome the negative reaction over a positive one. Because you want to, like my evangelical brother.
Yeah.
He's 10 years younger. Oh, you got to take those off the wall. Those are horrible.
Yeah.
It's perfect. That you want to provoke some type of. It's the same with this podcast. You want to have people have a feeling about it that's conveyed. That's not necessarily like. You don't want them in between. You want them. You want them to love it or have some negative reaction to it that makes them, provokes them, that challenges their thoughts, that changes mindsets. That's the goal, right?
Yeah. If you send them down a road, even if it's a road away from you, you've done your job, right? As long as you put them on a new track of thinking for a little while, they've gotten something out of it. And even if you drive them away, I mean, you got a reaction. It was better than them being bored.
And that's the point of like. Here's my tangent, and I'm not getting political, but if you listen to the same thing over and over again, and it reinforces your viewpoints over and over again, you become a drone.
Yeah.
So if you only listen to Fox News or you only listen to MSNBC, and all you're doing is reinforcing your same beliefs and your same perspectives, then you don't know how to critically think anymore. You don't know how to use logic. There's no political solution that is 100% right or wrong. You have to find the areas and look at things from a different perspective in order to make sure you know what it is that you think. That comes in all walks of life, not just politics.
Yeah, and like having a push and pull is good. My wife is a Republican and I'm a Democrat, and it's a really, for me.
Same for me.
Yeah, really. Yeah. Like I some people hate this mentality, but I always think life is kind of a fight anyway. So like, I need to fight, like with her to get through sometimes. Like, and so like, and I know like not everybody. That's not relationship advice. Everybody does it different. But yeah, like I like the push and pull. I like the struggle. And she educates me, and I educate her, and it feels good. You know, like we've become way more like, you know, I'm more economically conservative because of her, and she's more like military-oriented, like democratic because of me. Like, you know, like that kind of like I think I've changed her mind more on like that. And again, I'm not someone who studies up. I couldn't tell you what's even in the news right now, unfortunately. I'm like undereducated because of all my other hobbies I do. But like, but yeah, I think I've gotten her more like. When she looks at issues that have to do with like nonviolence and or like you know, human rights, she's more liberal now. And when I look at like money or like voting no on certain things that I think are like, that's not, we shouldn't be putting the community's money towards, you know, she opened my eyes more to like being conservative in a way that like you know, energizes things we already have and puts money back into them. So it's been kind of nice. What else? Just things that you like that don't consume you, like on a lighter note. What are the things you like that you can put down, that you can just come to and leave? Like, you know, I'm naming things more like if you play ping pong, or if you like have a collection of some sort, you know, like that kind of thing. You have anything like that?
Yeah. Before all the money that I had was going towards opening the gallery, I would actually. A little embarrassing, but I collected football cards.
Oh, nice. That's not embarrassing.
Well,
what do you mean?
I'm 32 years old.
Oh, you're just saying because it sounds like a kid.
Well, I did it as a kid, and so I really enjoyed. They have like breaks online where you buy into the break and you get a team or randomly assigned. It's stupid.
Oh, I see.
It's dumb. It's really stupid. So there's that.
But you enjoyed that, though. That's cool.
Yeah, and I really enjoy Tuesdays because I try to listen to all the new releases that come out music-wise.
Yeah.
So try to discover something new and read all the music blogs and hear something that's different.
When you talk about collectors things, I met with a couple of friends recently to get coffee, and my buddy Dean from Red, White, and Blue, he keeps bringing these weird little collector, kind of to combine the two things you just said. He brings like musician collector cards that are really lame, and we're just joking kind of, but they're really funny because he throws a pack at each of us, and we like just pull them out. And we're like, I got Hall & Oates. I got Van Halen. I got,
really?
Yeah.
They have that?
Yeah, they have. I don't know where they came. I think he went to like Rogers Community Auction. Listeners that aren't from Ohio, that's just like a thing down by the PA border, kind of Negley, Ohio, Rogers, Ohio, East Liverpool, Calcutta area, where like
it's a giant flea market.
Yeah, big flea market where they sell things that I used to collect, like Pogs. They probably don't sell those anymore, but I loved Pogs when I was a kid. And they sell probably football, trading cards, things like that. But he keeps coming to us with these stupid, like, Faith No More with, like, a pink and yellow zigzag behind it. You know, it's like that kind of looking card. They're old, and, like, and they always have these cool little bios on them that, like, you don't need anymore because of the internet. And, like, they're just like, Faith No More, they were signed to this, and the singer, you know, whatever they say.
Platinum.
Yeah. And it's so much fun, though, just for the novelty, to be so stupid about it, to, like, be like, I'll trade you Aerosmith for, for you know, whatever. For Michael Bolton or whatever, and it's just so fun to just screw around with stuff like that. Probably the same reason that like vinyl has a resurgence, and like old video games do. It's not so much that those things are better; it just makes you nostalgic, and you're like, whoa! Like I just like touching things now and like holding physical objects and stuff.
And there's something special. I mean, vinyl is so warm, and I bought a record player for the gallery. It's very authentic, you know.
Yeah, it's so much fun, and like that's stuff that people just kind of tripped on. I think like.
Do you collect that stuff?
I'm not really a collector, but my mom's friend for my birthday when I was like 18 just gave me her entire collection and a record player. Whenever that was. 2000 some, and yes, 2001 or 2, and so she was like, "Here you go," and gave it to me. And
nice.
I was like, there was like really fun, like Laura Nero, some Blues Explosion band, not John Spencer Blues Explosion, but an old one. Quicksilver, who was a Grateful Dead touring opening act for a long time. Just a lot of really good stuff I'd never heard of that now I kind of like. So you know, I tripped on that, but now it's something I'm nostalgic about. Yeah. I never became someone who was an advocate. Like, I just like think it's like there's certain albums that sound better on there, and certain things like acoustic music and hip hop seem to sound better on a vinyl record to me, and then like straight rock sometimes sounds better on CD. You know, it's like it's just hit and miss. But for the most part, it's just like you've heard this a million times on tons of podcasts that are all music, or tons of interviews or critic reviews. It's an experience. It's like opening a book. You have to sit there and flip the record, so it just makes you more enthralled. That's the point, right? You can't skip it. Yeah. That's the point. It's
you can move the needle, but it's
you look at the art, you watch you flip the record. You have to be there for it.
So, what do you think about this resurgence in cassettes?
I like how those sound. I used to make mixtapes, but again, for the most part, that would be more nostalgia than preference of like what the music sounds like. Like, I get it. It's punchier sounding. Certain things like De La Soul or something probably sound good on cassette because it's just like, you know, just kind of punches at you.
Does it seem like there's more treble with cassettes?
Yeah, more treble, but also when there is a heavy bass, it like punches through that treble. Like it's not. Yeah, there's more treble overall, and maybe that's why it makes that sound when you hear like the bass cranked up in the mix.
What was your first cassette?
Use Your Illusion 1, Guns N' Roses.
Guns N' Roses?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I just listened to November Rain over and over again. How about you?
I think for Christmas, I got a Michael W. Smith CD or tape. A Christian artist, of course.
Okay. Yeah.
I think I was 10, and it was like his Christmas album or something like that. And my first CD was DC Talk.
Oh, I know that band. Okay.
Yeah.
DC Talk.
I just like saved up my money and got a CD player, and that was my first purchase.
Oh, interesting, man.
Like when I was like 12 or 13 or something like that. So
I have a friend named Amy. She pops in for a really quick story on an episode called Woods and Tar. If you guys go on thirdclass.net and find the episodes, and she tells a story about getting tar in her hair. But how I met her was at a Christian camp called Camp Frederick in Rogers, Ohio. And she knew DC Talk, she knew Speedwood, which is an old one. She knew like probably Newsboys type stuff. Like she knew like that whole community.
Newsboys was known for their drummer that would do a 360.
Oh, did he? I didn't know that.
Kit that would go upside down and play upside down.
And I remember watching we're talking about music. We can't help it.
I'm sorry. It's my fault.
It's okay. The transition through like Christian music from friends we knew that was introduced to us, then those weird bands that kind of like take you out, like Rocket Summer. They kind of like
the Rocket. Yeah,
he's kind of like right on that line where he takes you out. You're like, I'm
so
listening.
much love in you.
Yeah. He kind of takes you into like, it's Christian oriented or religiously oriented, but he takes you into the world where you're like, all right, secular, Christian, whatever. I'm just like on both ends. So like, to me, I listened to those bands. I wasn't raised like super religious, so I listened to those bands because I wanted to. Like, I listened to some of the bands because of friends that were Christian, and I was like, I like these guys, but there wasn't that connotation.
Right, and it's all music. At the end of the day, the only people that are making the divide are the Christians, really. So I mean, if you enjoy something, you enjoy it. So do it.
You can take it for whatever it means to you.
I used to get flack for listening to jazz.
Jazz, yeah.
Can you believe that?
No, because some of that stuff's really good. Like, I think a lot of white people.
No, I mean like Christians.
Oh, from Christians.
Yes.
No, I didn't know what you meant. Okay.
Sorry.
Why do they?
Because
that's
at
at the time and when it was out, it
there's
was considered
no words.
exotic. Yeah.
There's no freaking words. Why would?
I mean, that's an old school mentality. That stuff was sex music when it came out. Mm-hmm. Like no question, that was erotic, and it was meant to be erotic, and it was in many ways like sexualized, even if it was instrumental. That was considered.
That's so strange.
Yeah, when it came out, and to combine the two. This is something that white hipsters name all the time. I apologize for being predictable, but
we've got this.
John,
2 episodes in a row where we go
way into music.
Way.
White people. But John Coltrane, I Love Supreme. That's the album that people name when they talk about him. That's combining the things you mentioned. He's talking to God and he's talking about Christianity in that entire album.
Really?
Yeah, I Love Supreme. He's talking to God, and it's jazz.
Wow.
So he infused the two.
Wow.
And that was in whatever 60s.
There you go, worship leaders everywhere.
Yeah, it's all good. We're good. And that happened a long time ago, so we're good now. He made Christianity sexy. No, I know.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
But
sexy Jesus.
Yeah. And so like he that's something that I'm not like huge into jazz, but things like that. Again, a weird crossover. That's what attracted me.
So here's what you should do for your podcast.
Yeah.
You should have your guests recommend some music that they haven't heard.
Yeah, recommending a little different than like the things that you take to the island question that I've been asking. So, do you want to recommend to our listeners?
Sure.
Yeah.
They're a little bit crossover jazz, and they have some rock elements. But there's a Swedish band called Jaga Jazzist, Jajazzist. They're on Spotify. Really recommend. There's an album called What We Must, and they do a lot of stuff that with orchestras, big band. They have a lot of different fusions, but I really enjoy them, and they're fun music.
Nice, man. I like that. So listeners, make sure you check that out. And is there anything you want to add, like anything else you want to talk about that consumes you, or your likes, dislikes, things like that before we go?
I really like good coffee. We talked about food. I love Mediterranean food, Greek food, obviously, because I'm a little Greek. But pickled octopus is fantastic.
Whoa, I never tried that.
It's really chewy and interesting, especially the tentacles.
Yeah.
But a lot like calamari, squid.
Nice, man.
Lebanese food, obviously. Mm-hmm. We love Aladdin's. What else consumes me? Football cards.
Football cards, yeah. That sticks out to me. I like that you went there, because that's like a fun, like, childhood mentality. Like.
Yeah, I kept it. My wife makes fun of me. And they're all underneath the bed too, which is even more funny.
That's awesome, man.
So,
well, hey, hopefully you and I will make this a semi-regular thing, or anyone else you recommend to me. I'm always on the lookout. So, guys, thanks for listening. Mom, specifically, Mom, thanks for listening to this.
Look, Mom, we're on a podcast.
Look, Mom. We're on a podcast. Well, listen, Mom, rather. But, you know, we already say it, so look, Mom. All right, guys, thanks for listening, and have an awesome... Oh, man.
Lee's entering his passcode right now.
I have to enter my password to press stop. Have a wonderful...
Something?
Yeah. Have a wonderful something.
This is Rebecca Forney from Campfield, Ohio, and I'm listening to Nursery Podcast. Is that good?
Perfect.
Should I do it again?
So cute. No, it was great.